3 nights in a row, I'm trying to get to this stupid Boatman restaurant because it's the only seafood restaurant that is near this area. And they close, the kitchen closes at 9. And this is my 3rd fucking time trying to get there. And if I don't make it, and you know what? If I do make it, it better be fucking worth it. Because if it's not, I'm going to go off. I'm actually calling a car service because there's no way I can walk there that quickly and get there by the cutoff time. So, wish me luck. Hello, it's Heather with the latest installment of R-Rated Reviews. And I made sure I did my research before I post this review. I was going to do an all-inclusive, I am actually going to do an all-inclusive review of all the places that I've eaten when I was in London with photos of the food. And like, we really didn't get bad food. Everything was pretty good. And we had a great time everywhere we went. With the exception of tonight, which was great until it wasn't. So I mentioned earlier that I've been trying to get to the Boatman for 3 days in a row. And due to my own fault, you know, they close at 10, but they close the kitchen at 9. And the first night I got there at 10 after 9. And I was like, okay, you know. Second night I was running late. And it's pretty much walking distance. It's like a 5 to 7 minute walk. But I knew I was running late, so I called the fucking Uber. I'm like, get me there. And the guy was like, he cranked it. I think I got there at like 8:58. But the clock on the wall in there was like 9:01. And they were like, no, kitchen's closed. And mind you, they don't close till 10, but I understand. I even said to the Uber guy, give me 10 seconds because if they don't let me eat, I'll pay you cash to just take me somewhere else. And he was cool. He did, because they did not let me eat, which is fine. So Carmen and I left, and we had to find somewhere else to go. Today, I decided I was determined to fucking get to the Boatman because they serve scallops. It's on the river. They have a beautiful outdoor seating area that's enclosed, heated, lit up with the little white lights. The ambiance is great. And I love to eat on the water, and I wanted seafood. So I was busting ass to get down there. And so again, I'm like, fuck, I ordered an Uber. I'm like, dude, kitchen's closing soon. I got there at 8:45. It wasn't like I was 20 to 9, 29, 8:45. I was like, I went like running through the door. Like, hold on. Running through the door on cobblestone. So I was able to get it. And the girl's like, yeah, can I help? I said, I got here in time. I said, I would like to have dinner. And she's like, oh, did you want to eat or did you just want drinks? I said, no, I'd like to eat. Is it just you? Yes, it's just me. She's like, oh, okay. Did you want to sit? I said, like, can I sit outside? I'm like so excited. She's like, oh yeah, sure. I'm like, okay. And I thought she asked me again. It's just like, dinner for one? I'm like, yes, dinner for fucking one. Unless you have a few drinks and you see double of me. So we go out and she's like, no, there was a table finishing up, 2 women having dinner, and 1 other table. So the other 10 tables were empty. And there was a smaller table that was at the window. And she said, where do you want to sit? And I said, I didn't want to take up a big table, especially by myself. And I wanted to sit by the water. So the smaller table, I said, I'll sit over there. And she said, no problem. So I sit down. Everything's great. She's very friendly. And I do this on purpose when I go to a restaurant, especially if I'm in a hotel. You guys know, I like to eat. I like to eat at all hours of the night. I like to snack. I get cranky if I'm hungry. So when I'm going to a restaurant, especially in another country, another city, another state, and it's the only opportunity that I'm going to get to try that food, it's not that I'm trying to be a pig. I'm also not trying to feed myself for 3 days. But I want to try a bunch of stuff because I'm not going to have another opportunity. It's not me being gluttonous. It's appreciation for the fact that they're known to have good food. So I ordered an appetizer and a dinner. But I wanted dessert. And so the appetizer was delicious. I got the diver scallops grilled over mashed cauliflower with I don't know, some sort of like leaf, a little tiny, like a salon, like an herb, like a chopped herb. Where the fuck is my vocabulary? A garnish. And then they had a pesto basil drizzle around the dish. It was delicious. I got the roasted sea bass with roasted potatoes, and what else was in it? Hold on, I have to think about it. Spinach. So you get your roasted potatoes, then your spinach, and your sea bass. And it was good. But I was talking to TJ while I was having dinner, like texting. I'm there by myself. I'm not being rude. So I had a lovely conversation with the women at the table next to me. They gave me some suggestions about where I can go tomorrow, and I'm going to do that. I wanted to order dessert. So I was getting full, and I still had half my dinner. So I told the girl, I asked her, there were 3 items on the dessert menu that I was unsure of. So I asked her about them, and she made a recommendation. I said, okay, I'll go with that. And I said to her before she walked away, I said, oh, can I just have a box, please? I said, can I have a to-go box? And she's like, oh, I'm sorry, we don't do that. I said, what? She's like, we don't do that. I said, but what are you going to do with the food? I looked at her and said, what do you mean? What do you mean you can't, we don't do to-go containers, we're not allowed. I said, what do you mean you're not allowed? And she's like, it's just his rule. I'm like, fuck, I get my rings up. And I looked at her and I said, but all that food goes to waste. I'm like, you throw it away? And she's like, I said, nobody complains about that. And I ordered the dessert, but it wasn't sitting well with me. I was like, I'm not giving this guy another fucking nickel. So I looked over. She was just a couple feet away. I said, excuse me, I'm not going to get dessert. And she was like, okay. I said, I can't eat that and this. And I'm not going to waste this. I said, I really wanted to take the food back to my room so I could eat it later when I get hungry again. But sitting there, thinking about her throwing half of my food in the garbage so I could make room, to leave room to buy more dessert. I'm like, she's like, I know, I'm so sorry. She's like, he won't let us. I said, first of all, aside from there are starving people in the world, it's mine. I paid for it. Like, or I'm paying for it. I mean, certainly I haven't paid for it yet, but the expectation is you gave it to me because you know I'm going to buy it. It's mine. You gave it to me. I'm buying it. How can you tell me I can't take it? If you'd like to charge me the fucking 50 cents or 5 cents that the grocery stores now charge for a bag to give me a to-go container, fine. But don't tell me I cannot take my food with me. And before anyone jumps all over this, I just spent the last hour and a half all over the internet. I am not being an American right now. It is customary in the UK. There are some restaurants that will tell you they're not set up to do to-go containers. Understood. This place, he just won't. And here's how I know why. She said, I can try and sneak you a piece of foil. And I said to her, you know what? I thought to myself, and maybe it's my upbringing. I come from very humble beginnings. Food was not fucking wasted in my house growing up. And it still isn't wasted in my house. And it's not about feeding the starving children. We're not going to go give it to them because you can't for health reasons. I get that. But the point is, I'm not going to work for the money that I make to buy food and be told that I'm not allowed to have all of it unless I stuff it in my... And no, I didn't do it to order more than I could eat on purpose. I did it because I wanted to try a few different things, and they didn't have a small plates option. They had small plates, but they didn't have a small plates option for the items that I wanted to eat. So I just wanted to take the potatoes. I ate the fish. I wanted to take the potatoes and the spinach home to my room. And she said she was going to sneak me a piece of foil. And I was cool about it. Like, I thought this whole thing was ridiculous. I said to her, I'll tell you what, if you can sneak me a piece of foil, then I promise you, I will sneak the food into the foil and I will not get you caught. And then you can order me the dessert and I'll take it. So she's like, okay. She came back out like 30 seconds later and she went, I got caught. I'm like, you got caught? So it's not, part of what I researched online is that by all means, a restaurant can tell you that they're not set up for it. But it is absolutely, at this day and age, it is customary to have a to-go container or some sort of to-go in the UK. There are some people who apparently are horrified by it, but it's still a thing, especially since COVID and long before COVID. It's not just takeaway food. If they have the means to do it, they will and they should. Now, do they have to? I guess they don't have to. But I'm not leaving till I fucking eat it too, because I don't have to waste it if I have to pay for it. So she got caught trying to bring me a piece of foil. Like, to me, that's not just a matter of we don't do to go or we're not set up to do to go. That's just, you're not taking your food with you. So I said, don't put that dessert through. I wouldn't give him another dime. So she brings me, I said, can I just have the check, please? And I ate everything on my fucking plate, minus the lemon, because I will not waste food. And there were comments about how the UK has smaller portions than the United States. Totally true. It wasn't like the meal was so big that I couldn't eat it. I had an appetizer. I could have eaten the meal and I would have been fine, but I would have liked to have tried a dessert. So I was specifically leaving room for that reason, but I'm still not going to throw the fucking food in the garbage. So she brings me the check and she was standing there with the card machine. I said, this is going to be cash. And she was like, oh, okay. So I give her, I'm looking at the check. They put a service charge on there, but it was like 10 or 12%. I tip more than that. So I tip more than that for bad fucking service. So I wanted to give her a bigger tip, but I also wanted to understand what the service charge was. So I looked it up while I was sitting at the table. I didn't say anything to her about it because it didn't need to be discussed with her. Once I understood what it was, I wanted to make sure I gave her an appropriate tip, a good tip, but I wanted to make sure that service charge goes to her, because if it didn't, then I was just going to pay that and give her a separate tip. But it turns out it's supposed to go to her. Well, the change was £10. She gave me a 10. She gave me a 10. And the couple of pences, whatever they were, 10s, 5 pence, 10 pence. And I'm looking and I'm like, I looked in my wallet. I didn't have change. All I had were 20-pound bills. So I called her back over and I said, excuse me, can I get change of the 10th? And she goes, no. He took all the money to count out the drawers. We have no change. I mean, it wasn't even 10 o'clock yet. It was pushing 10, but it wasn't even 10 yet. So first of all, she was too stupid to not give me change. What every server knows. I will tell you, she had to have been new, because I asked her what was in a dish. I asked her what a dish was, and she said she didn't know. Let me correct myself. It wasn't the dish. I was going to order a drink, and I didn't know what Prim's lemonade was. And it sounded like a good drink, but I just didn't know I think it was Prim's lemonade. I didn't know what it was. And neither did she. She's like, I don't know. I'm like, oh, okay. She's like, well, I could go ask. I'm like, oh, she's got to be fucking new. She was very sweet, though. And I was in too good of a mood to be bothered. So I was like, okay. And then the guy was like, the owner couldn't even fucking tell me what it was. He's like, oh, it's like a liquor. I'm like, well, it's on the fucking cocktail menu. So I said, yeah. Is it like vodka? He's like, no. I said, is it gin? Like, because I don't drink gin. And I just want to have one drink. I took 2 sips and left it. He's like, it's a liquor. I said, like a liqueur? And he goes, yeah, something like that. It's sweet. I said, okay, I'll have it. I asked her what the dessert was. Eaton's Mess. I said, what's Eaton's Mess? She's like, I don't know. That's new to us. I'm like, new to us? Okay, so you don't make your own fucking desserts? I said, can you tell me what I don't know what this stuff is. There was something else, some kind of compote. I don't know. It was I don't know. I took a picture of the menu. Okay, so the Eaton Mess didn't have a description under it. It literally just said Eton Mess. And I'm like, well, what's Eaton Mess? And she's like, I don't really know. She's like, it's new to us. Okay. She's like, but that's it at the bottom of the menu. There's a picture. And I'm looking at it. And the picture's like this big. I couldn't see shit. Like fruit. I'm like, okay. The one I didn't know, I just forgot what it was fucking called again. Chocolate panna cotta with chantilly lace. Chantilly lace. I'm fucking retarded. Chantilly cream with mixed berry compote. So I'm like, can you tell me what panna cotta is? I've heard of it, but I don't know what the fuck. She's like, I don't know. I'm like, she's like, I heard Eaton Mess is good. I'm like, all right, get Eaton Mess, whatever. Like, I'm easy, and I'm being nice to this girl. Until she tells me I can't take my fucking food with me. And I even said to her, it's not you. It's not your fault. I wasn't going to penalize her or her tip. She was still very friendly, useless, but friendly. And she went out of her way to try to bring me a piece of foil and got caught? Like, what kind of bullshit is that? I paid $50 for an appetizer and a dinner, and I couldn't take it with me? So now you didn't get the dessert, you fucking asshole. So I sat there until I ate every fucking morsel of spinach and potatoes. Not to prove a point, but because I don't waste food. And I paid for it. Forget about, I don't waste food. It's a sin. And I said to her, I find it hard to believe that other customers don't complain or say anything. Like, maybe they're not from out of town. The whole place is crawling with tourists. I mean, every morning, every Tuesday and Thursday, I've seen them for the changing of the guards. So don't tell me they're not tourists in there, that they don't know better, and that the people in the UK know that the portions are correct and they only order what they can eat. I understand that. The point is, they had tinfoil. I asked them if I could take it back to my room because I paid for it. They told me no. I wouldn't fucking go back there. Ever. And that's why they got their own review without the rest of them. I am hard pressed to believe that they don't have other complaints. Perhaps the guy should come walking up the street that I have to walk on from his restaurant to my hotel, and listen to the homeless people and help. One guy said, I'm sorry, you asked me last night. Like, he scares me. But there are 2 or 3, and that's not a lot, but this Windsor area is like this big, and it's right outside the castle. 2 or 3 homeless people living in like a box on the sidewalk. And even if I couldn't take it to my room, I told her, I actually said to her, I said, I am appalled. I'm appalled. And maybe it's called, I thought, before I got on here and said anything, I said before, I'm not saying a word. I don't have to agree with it if it's a cultural thing. I don't have to agree with it, but I'm going to shut up because when in Rome, whatever. And I'm not going to, but once I looked it up on Reddit, TripAdvisor, Yelp, there were a bunch, there's a couple of other, Miss Manners, people from the UK were answering. I read an hour's worth of questions and answers on this to be sure that I wasn't making a stink about something that was a cultural thing and that I should shut my mouth. It's not a cultural thing. It was just fucking asshole that owns the Boatman. And I will not recommend them for anything. I mean, the food was good. It wasn't great, but it was good. Although he needs to put something on his spinach because it was just spinach. And the spinach, I don't know, the spinach didn't taste like anything but spinach out of a bag that had been steamed. Potatoes were good. And the Chilean sea bass was good. Scallops were good. So was the cauliflower. But I don't know what that green shit was. The herb that he sprinkled on it. You could skip that. But it wasn't so fucking good that, whatever. I'm just pissed. Questions or comments, please feel free to leave them. Unless you're the douche that wants to be the fucking po-po on my page talking about what temperature you should keep your fucking house at. I don't give a fuck what temperature you keep your house at. If I'm paying for a room and it comes with a thermostat, then I use it the way I see fit. Questions or comments, feel free to leave them. If you want to hit like and subscribe, please do. Yeah, this one was R-rated.